Give a big and warm welcome to Mustafa Polat.
Thank you. Teşekkür ederim hocam. Okay. So, hello everyone. And I would like to say that I am also happy to be here. Thanks for coming. I totally agree that without you, the event wouldn't be possible. And also thanks for the invite. Thanks for having me today. I hope we are going to have a kind of fruitful session with you based on some self-learning, collective learning, and inductive learning as well. As you already know, we are going to talk about conflict management today. I'm just going to introduce myself, but this is a topic actually from my MA study. This is a topic of my interest as well. So I'm just going to share the results of it with you, but we are also going to do activities actually together because I like sessions when they are inductive and when they are interactive. So it's going to be an interactive session, and mostly you'll be using your devices to participate in the session. So I'm sure you have your devices with you, your mobile phones. The things we can't do without, right? Can I see all of them? Can you show us your mobile phones? Huh?
No connection.
No connection? There is at the room there is Wi-Fi as much as possible. We're going to do the activities. My connection is not bad. Yeah, so Vodafone is problematic. Okay, the advertisement. Okay, anyways, we'll do our best to make it that way. So, who am I? Let me introduce myself with a little slide. So, I'm a graduate of Middle East Technical University. I also completed my MA there in 2009. And then I started PhD at Istanbul University. It's still in progress. While just going on this program, I got Fulbright scholarship and I went to Arizona. And do you know where Arizona is? What do you know about Arizona? Tell me one thing about it. Louder, please. Dream, okay, yeah, move. It's a desert, yeah. It's a desert area. There's nothing interesting with that, but the desert itself is quite interesting indeed. And currently, I have been working at I work at Bahçeşehir University as an assistant professor, and I worked at different prep schools before. I started at TOP, University of Economics and Technology in Ankara, and then I came here to Istanbul and started working at Bahçeşehir. And then I worked at Özyeğin, where I met Erim Hoca, and we did a lot of marking there. And then, right now, I am at Bahçeşehir University again at the Department of English Language Teaching this time. And we are training future language teachers, just like, all of us. And in addition to that, I'm doing teacher training seminars thanks to Kardeş Kitap and National Geographic Learning. And I also offer a senior year class at Boğaziçi University for the last 7 semesters. So it's a continuing course all the time. In addition to this, at Bahçeşehir University, I am the Deputy Director of the Graduate School of Educational Sciences. So if you are interested in some MA programs, you can contact me. Here is my contact information. Again, I have all the contact info there. I have seen so many familiar faces today. I'm so happy with that. And as I said, we are going to have a fruitful day, hopefully today. So, what are we going to talk about? Today, we're going to talk about conflict. What we understand from the word conflict. That's number one thing. And conflict versus violence. If there is any difference, what is the difference? Conflict in the classroom. So, we will talk about conflict in the classroom as well. Don't tell me that you are not experiencing any conflicts with your students. You do, right? We do, of course. Today, Hopefully we are not going to experience any conflict with each other, but conflict is everywhere. So we will also talk about conflict in the classroom. Conflict management. I mean, there is something like conflict management, and we'll talk about it. If you have time, I'll also talk about effective communication skills, but as I said, if we have time, in the next hour. Okay. So let me start with an image at this point. I mean, your perception of something is very important because perception becomes reality at some point. What do you see there? I mean, this is something you have seen before, I'm sure. 2 lines, right? So there's one line here, another line here. Do you see any difference between them in terms of length? Do you think they are at the same length? This is what reality tells you. What about your perception? Do you perceive those things at this, at the same length? I don't think so. I don't think so. Which one is longer? This one?
No, they are both the same length.
Yeah, in reality they are the same. But in terms of perception, this one looks a little bit longer than the other one. Okay, let me show you another picture which created a lot of conflict actually in the, I don't know how many years ago, maybe 4 years ago. We have a recent conflict, but I didn't put the picture of it because that doesn't look like very contradictory. Okay. Do you remember this? Okay. Shall we create some sort of conflict here?
Blue.
What color? Okay. I know you are like bothered with this image a lot. Yeah. Okay. Can I have your attention? Okay, blue and black. Who says that? Blue, black. White and gold. White and gold. Oh, more people see white and gold. It's blue and black for me. Okay. So, yes. I knew the image was going to create some sort of conflict, but I wasn't expecting that much. Did you sort out the conflict? So, I mean, if we discuss about this kind of things, actually, it's going to take like years, right? And sometimes conflicts arise actually because of these kind of situations. I mean, just remember some conflicts actually you have experienced in the last days. You might have had conflicts with your husband, wife, with your family, with your friends, with your colleague, with your friends. So conflicts are everywhere. That's why how we perceive something is very important because perception matters, as we also saw in this image. That's why we need to come up with a definition of conflict, I think. So how do you define conflict? So let me give you half a minute. You don't have to write anything actually, but just think about how you would define conflict by yourself. Think about it. Half a minute. How would you define conflict? What's conflict for you? Just, I mean, yeah, try to think about it. Okay? You have some sort of definition in your mind? Okay, without asking, actually, I want to get answers actually from everyone. Because I mean, if I get some answers from some people, the others might be manipulated a little bit. So I don't want this. So that's why we're going to use an app actually to do this. This is one of my favorite apps indeed. Do you use technology in your classes? Who likes technology in their classes? This is a kind of, like some sort of unnecessary question maybe these days because that's what our students expect from us, like using technology in the class. But for this activity, we are going to use this app. Who is familiar with the logo, with the name, Socrative? You do? Okay, let's get familiar with that. So what we're going to do is, using Socrative, and if you want to find the website, I mean, we're going to use the website. So using your mobile phones, just Google the word Socrative. And most probably the link that shows up would be socrative.com. So let's go to that website right now using our mobile phones. let's go to Socrative. And I'm just going to go there on my computer as well. Okay. This is the website. By the way, can everyone hear me this way if I don't use the mic? I feel more comfortable this way. Great. Okay, this is the website. So what you're going to click on when you are here is the student login. Just click on student login, and I will click on teacher login. And did you click on student login? What do you see on the screen now? Okay, so this is the room name, MPOLAT. If you enter this room name, you'll be inside the classroom. And here, we see the number of people who are in the room right now. 14 and rising. Huh? M-P-O-L-A-T, M. Polat. Okay, my initial, or my first name and surname, M. Polat. Okay, there are 30 people right now. I know there's more people here. Connection problems? I'm using Ederon, by the way, the university connection. So, but anyways, okay. There are 28 people. If your pair or partner is logged in, you can also do the activity maybe together. But let's see, how would you define conflict? So what I'm going to do is, by the way, you can play games, you can give quizzes through Socrative. It's very good, I mean. It's more customizable than Kahoot, and I'm sure you know Kahoot, right? Okay. So I'm going to start a short answer activity. And the question is optional. You already know the question. Define conflict. Okay. We would like to see your own definition of conflict. Let's see what kind of definitions we'll have. Okay, right now, you see a box in front of you, most probably on the screen. So just enter your definition in that box and submit your answer. Of course, yeah. So, what do you mean? I mean, I couldn't get your question, I think because of the AC, so.
As you have no access to the internet, could you open a second window so that we can see the students' page as well at the same time? Is that possible?
There is no need for that. What we are caring about is the responses, and right now actually we see all the responses. Thank you. Okay, so you cannot see the results actually on your screen. This is the teacher's screen, so we can see the responses here. But just let's have a look at them. Different ideas coming together. I like the definition. Disagreement, clash of interests. Battle of minds. Wow, okay. Disagreement that can be solved. Disagreement that cannot be solved. I like these two definitions, I think. So, which one? Disagreements that can be solved or disagreements that cannot be solved? You see, I mean, how you define it is certainly giving a lot of idea about how you approach a conflict or what you understand from that word. A situation in which two or more differing views butt heads. Okay. A kind of misunderstanding, inability to agree. Wow. Okay. Long period of disagreement. And there's no conflict here, there's love here. Struggle for power, opinion gap, opposing ideas, unwilling to compromise, energy. Wow, okay. I like the definitions, by the way. So, when you consider all these definitions, do you think they are mostly negative or positive or neutral? Negative. There is some negativeness there. There is some positiveness there. But we have, I think, all of them Maybe. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. Like the way you define a conflict. Okay, back to our presentation. Thank you, by the way, for all the responses you gave. Okay, as language teachers, we like using antonyms and synonyms. Here we have two words, conflict, problem. Do you think they are synonyms? Is conflict a problem? Who says no? Sometimes traditional way is better. Who says yes? Who says no idea? I'm just waiting for the... Okay, indeed, conflict is not the same thing actually as problem. Conflict, I mean, it's not a problem. So, okay, now let's just do another task. Just think about a conflict, whatever this conflict is. I'm just going to provide the definition, but let's see what you understand from conflict actually more in detail in a concrete term. So, think about a conflict you have experienced recently. I don't think no one experiences no conflicts. I'm sure you are experiencing conflicts. Have you experienced any conflicts today? You did? You remember the dress? Not yet. That's very optimistic. You remember the dress? That was a conflict. But, I mean, just think about your past week and remember, try to remember a conflict actually you experienced. Okay? And then, I want you to think of this conflict by considering these, questions. And you are going to share your conflict with your pair or partner, the person sitting next to you. So, what is your typical response to conflict? So, what was the conflict? What did you do? Or what do you do in general? What is your greatest strength when dealing with conflict? So, what kind of a person you are? If you could change one thing about the way you handle conflict, what would it be? Why? And finally, in what ways have you seen your team benefit from conflict, if we have such a thing? Have you ever benefited from a conflict? I mean, we have this famous saying actually in Turkish and in many languages. I mean, big loves actually start with some like big hate, right? Hatred. So do you agree with that? We'll see. Okay, right now we have 3 minutes. Turn to your partner and just share a conflict you have experienced recently by answering these questions.
Sorry, these conflicts are going to be in classes?
No, it doesn't have to be a class. No, it's something that you can share. It could be anything in general. Elim hocam, any conflicts? Any conflicts? Lots of. Do you want to share it with me? Conflicts.
We know all our conflicts and problems, so...
Oh, okay. Maybe there is something that you still don't know. Or do you also know the way you deal with conflicts? What kind of, strategies you have?
Yes.
Oh, you're close friends, I see. Okay. Do you experience conflicts? What do you do? I mean, with each other.
Not yet, hopefully. Never.
Do you avoid them or do you try to find a middle way?
Yes.
Middle way. Are you sure? Because that's what people say, but...
Never do.
yeah, I mean... Just, okay. You can all discuss it. Conflicts? You did talk with each other? Any example conflict?
Always in a conflict. We are always in a conflict. My solution.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Then there's chance for improvement, I think, right? So you must be close friends then, if you're experiencing a lot of conflicts.
My solution is mucuk. Allah canım yemeyiz.
Avoiding the problem. Okay, avoiding the problem. I see. So 1 more minute maybe. 1 more minute and then we'll be done. Okay, so yeah, can I have your attention? Okay, do you feel better because you shared, like, you know, some conflicts? Sometimes it feels better, I think, right? Okay, I mean, in the hectic pace of our life, we don't have many opportunity actually to think about such kind of things. I mean, how we approach a conflict, what do we do, what is the best way to deal with that kind of things. That's why we are just having this session, and hopefully it's gonna help you at least to a certain point. I mean, if there is a kind of little change in terms of your perception, that would be a big plus indeed. Okay, let me ask you a question. Okay, you talked about conflicts in general. Now let's just make it more specific. Workplace. And there's a multiple choice question for you with one best answer. Conflict at the workplace is A, avoidable, B, preventable, C, necessary. This is interesting. I don't think the items are good. And all of the above. Necessary. Avoidable. Some people said that I just, you know, kiss the person and then we go away, we avoid conflicts. So, avoidable, what about avoidable? Okay, so let me get your opinions quickly, again, all of yours. It's not that possible actually, you know, like traditionally. So we will use Mentimeter. Are you familiar with Mentimeter? This is a very interactive and nice app actually. So let's just use it together. So for Mentimeter, on your mobile phones again, you'll visit menti.com. Menti.com. Okay, and let me also do it here. If you want to use it as a teacher, the website is mentimeter.com. If you want to use it with your students, the website is menti.com. Once I start the presentation, you'll also see the instructions. Are you there? Menti.com? It asks you one thing, right? Number. Okay. Number, right? Okay, I'll provide the code with you. So let me start the presentation first. Oops, not this one. Yes, this one. Okay, so when you enter this code in your mobile phones, 136147, you'll be able to answer the question, and let's see what kind of distribution actually we have. I think someone's changing their minds. Whoa. So there is 37 people who responded to the question. That's a good number, 40 right now. Okay, what do you think about Menti? By the way, is it easy to use as a student? You can also explore it if you like this kind of interactive apps in your classrooms. I mean, you just put the question there, you just play it, and then you can use it. My expertise is educational technology in language learning, which is computer-assisted language learning. That's why I also want to include this kind of apps. Okay, so as you can see, the results, all of the above is the most popular answer. But there is 8 people, which is also a good number, I think, which is a number which we can't ignore. 8 people who say that it's necessary, 6 people preventable, and 3 people avoidable. So conflict is indeed necessary. I mean, it is necessary. But at the same time, it's preventable, it's avoidable. So all of the above, I mean, all of these options actually should be correct. But it depends, again, on your approach. It depends on your approach to, dealing with conflicts in general. Okay. So right now, going back to the presentation, let me finally share a definition of conflict with you. So before sharing the definition, I would like to share this quote, which gives some idea about, conflict in general. Do you like quotes, by the way? Quotes like this? They motivate us, right? So in my presentation, I also have some quotes to share with you. So conflict, what? Okay. Conflict is the beginning of consciousness. And I think with the activity we did with you, those 4 simple questions, that was also consciousness. As I said, in the hectic pace of life, we are not that conscious at all times. So if you have a certain strategy to deal with conflicts, it might just give you an additional consciousness maybe. And not awareness, but consciousness. Okay, dictionary definition of conflict, first of all, according to Collins. Conflict is a serious disagreement and argument. I remember this word actually from the definitions you shared with us. An argument about something, a state of mind in which you find it impossible to make a decision, a serious difference between 2 or more beliefs, ideas, or interests. So what do you think about this definition? Does it feel like something negative or positive? Yeah, impossible to make a decision. Dictionaries, most of the time are objective. They just define things actually in an objective way, but there is some sort of subjectivity here, I think. So that's why I just want to share one more definition from the literature, from the scholars who are working on conflict and conflict resolution. Okay, one more definition here. Okay. What about this one? Everyone has an approach to dealing with conflicts, and this is close to my approach as well. I mean, conflict is an expressed struggle. I mean, if you do not express your feelings or the problem, it's not going to be a conflict at all. So it should be expressed. And it's a struggle, by the way. Struggle, is it something good or bad? Neutral, right? Yeah, it depends on the struggle. But it's nothing bad or it's nothing very good, right? But struggle is something that most probably improves you. I mean, if you're struggling with something, right, most probably there is some improvement there. At least between 2 interdependent parties who perceive incompatible goals. I remember some of these actually in your definitions as well. Scarce resources and interference from others in achieving their goals. Okay, but as you can see, there's nothing bad there. Now, I want you to go back and think about your own definition of conflict. And you should, let's not forget this quote as well. In the middle of difficulties lies an opportunity. I don't know whether you agree with this or not, whether you find it too optimistic, too positive, but it is true because, yeah, that belongs to actually Einstein, one of the big minds actually of the century. Okay, now let's remember the task again, your definition, and now I would like you to come up with a kind of new definition if you want to change your definition, and let's define conflict without using any negative terms this time. let's see whether we can do it or not. Okay, going back to Socrative. You remember Socrative? Okay, going back to Socrative, it's still there. It's still there. I mean, all your definitions. And if you go to Socrative again, enter MPOLAT, you can keep posting Neve definitions. So let's see your Neve definitions. If you want, you can define it together with your partner if you think you need that. But let's see how Neve definitions will appear. Chance for development. Different ideas coming together. So different is not something bad, so yeah, same answer. Yes, more definitions. Defining. Connection. Agree to disagree. By the way, if you're using Socrative, you don't have to show the answers as they are posted. There's a chance to hide answers, so you can show them all at once after the activity is done, or you can just show them. If you ask your participants to enter some names, you can also share their names, but I did this activity anonymous, okay? So there are these options as well. Mirroring, looking for the best idea, chance to go through different ways of looking at the world. Clash of ideas, clash of ideas. Clash, what is the connotation of this word? Is it positive or negative? Is it neutral? Clash. How does it feel like? But exchanging ideas, just exchanging ideas. Sometimes when you're exchanging ideas, you feel like you hit the other person too in conflicts. Okay, transformation. Thank you. Okay, going back to our presentation, I think we gave it a positive spin this time, and yes. Okay. I think we are on the same page in terms of this claim, this argument that, I mean, the way you define something, the way you, like, you know, describe something gives, like, some opinion in terms of your approach to something. That's why it is sometimes important to give a positive spin in your life, although things actually might look negative at that point. Okay, that's why we did this activity. And right now, let's also do it one more time through the other app that we are familiar. You remember Mentimeter? Okay, back to Mentimeter. We're just going to do one more final activity actually with it. And it is the same code. Okay, Mentimeter is here. And I'm just going to start the Neve activity. So in the Neve activity, what I want you to do is, I want you to find 3 words to define conflict, just 3 words. It could be an adjective at first, conflict is this, or it could be a noun as well, a metaphor maybe. I mean, in the instruction it says it's like adjective, but you can also find nouns so that we create a word cloud together. Okay, so go to menti.com, and enter the same code, 13, 61, 47, and then you are just going to enter 3 different words for the word conflict. This is easier than definition. Yeah, it says adjectives, I know, but if you cannot find some adjectives, you can also write some words as well. Okay? Okay, just one word, by the way. I see that you're entering phrases, just one word. It could be an adjective or a noun. Are you familiar with this type of image? This is called what? Word cloud. Word cloud. So Mentimeter can automatically do it based on the answers actually you enter. So that's why I also like it. Disagreement was the biggest word before this one. How come it becomes bigger and smaller, by the way? Can someone answer this question? Yeah? Yeah, number of same answers, right? Yeah. If the same answer is given by different people, it becomes bigger in terms of its font size. So, okay, I think so far it seems that we have made a point, because I'm happy that the word productive is at the center of our word cloud. Yes? Good question. I mean, but I mean, according to the literature, conflict itself actually is neutral. Depending on how you resolve it, or you cannot resolve it, it turns into a problem. But as a conflict, it is something actually neutral. It doesn't have to be negative, but it is also not like positive at the same time. Maybe it's something in the middle. Okay? But we can't say conflict is negative. Okay? According to literature. According to Collins-Cobile Dictionary, maybe. Conflict resolution, again, you cannot resolve a conflict maybe, then it might be negative as well. I mean, we can't say that every conflict resolution is also positive. No, it's not. Okay. So, productive at the center. Yeah, it could be productive depending on how you deal with conflict. Okay, so far we have seen like definitions of conflict, your approach, your attitude actually toward it. So I guess it has become also very productive. But we shouldn't forget that, I mean, it is challenging. It is itself a disagreement indeed. Clash of ideas, someone put it that way. Someone says stressful, that's also big there, right? And there are also other opinions like changeable, complication, disappointed, metrobus. It's a conflict. I think one person put it that way. Traffic, these are causes of conflict, I think, yeah, causes, reasons. A wall with a door. Satisfying, negative, exciting. Okay, good. Thank you for all these answers. As you can see, there's huge data there. 35 people actually shared their opinions based on the word conflict. Okay. Now, let's talk some business. Okay, we talked about conflict in general. And as a teacher, we might have conflicts with whom? First, okay, students, but not just students, colleagues, administrators, parents. I mean, parents might not be the case here, but a lot of people at K-12 level, they have serious conflicts there and some personal problems. Okay, and now we are going to focus on your conflict with students. Okay. So, yeah, try to remember what kind of conflicts actually you have had so far. And I'm just going to show you a snapshot of a classroom. Hope it's not your classroom. Just a minute. Yes. Okay, this is a classroom. As I said, hope this is not Yıldız Technical University. Let me zoom into some parts of the class because it's not easy actually to read it. So, this is the door side. Coming late. Do you have such students coming late? Does it cause some conflicts? Do they turn into a problem then, or you deal with that successfully? Sometimes it does. And passing notes, lip reading, giggling, even at university level, I think we have that case as well, right? Okay, let's see another part of the class. Hallucinating, drawing cartoons, yeah, and making cat noises. Yeah, I think noises. Eating lunch, eating, for example. Is it a conflict for you? Okay, so you avoid it then. I mean, or yeah, maybe. Cursing teacher under breath. Whistling. Daydreaming. These are familiar, I think, right? And finally, the teacher. Not pictured. There are also not pictured conflicts. So I think, yeah, I laugh at this a lot. Plotting career change. Okay, let me ask you one simple question. We have some of these, all of these, or just a few of these maybe. But the question is, just if you hear your students gossip about you, do they gossip about you? Okay. Positive, negative? Okay, the rest of the question. What would they be telling about the way you deal with conflicts? So what would they be telling about the way you deal with conflicts? So do you deal with conflicts actually in a successful way so that it turns into an opportunity? I mean, I know a lot of students who started with some sort of hatred at the beginning of the semester so that we experience a lot of problems, but at the end of the semester, it turns into a close friendship actually with them. So I know many instances like this. And I'm sure you have had them as well. But in general, what would students be telling about you? Can we avoid conflicts in the classroom? Can we avoid them? Okay, one student is late, just, you avoid it. I mean, don't mention it. Is it a kind of successful strategy or style? Yeah. You need to do something there, right? Because the next day, that student is going to be maybe even later. Or more students will be late. So that's why avoiding conflict is a strategy. I agree there. But it is not a successful strategy at all times. Sometimes we need to deal with them. And it's important how your students just, weave your conflict management approaching styles. If you are not dealing with conflicts in a successful way, there could be serious consequences. And I'm just going to play a video at this point. So let me play the video and let's see how the consequences can be that extreme or serious. Okay? Let's watch this little, maybe you have seen this video before. If not, let's just watch it. Let's see.
Finger.
Very far. Okay, so we had better deal with conflicts, right? Otherwise, so what do you think? Would you like to have such students, or do you have such students? Hope not. But as you can see, I mean, it's very important, like, to deal with your conflicts, indeed. Okay. Do you think this? I mean, do you think that this is like a kind of serious phone call, a real phone call, or a joke? We hope it's a joke, right? It's a joke, yeah, it's a joke. Okay, so that's why we have conflicts in the classroom, and we should know how to deal with them, and I'll be talking about the ways actually to deal with some conflicts. So let's have a look at these cases. Do they sound familiar? Yeah, this is one of the very common cases, I think. Mobile phones in the class. Not for the activities, of course, but for their personal things. Your teaching style. So, I mean, we do give surveys actually. I mean, we do receive survey results from our students, right? Sometimes they also comment on our teaching style as well, or the way we teach something. So, as you can see, it's not just, administrative issues, it's also some academic issues that might cause some conflicts in the classroom. So that's why we need to be equipped with the ways to deal with a conflict, or we should understand a conflict better. If not, someone might want to destroy the school, which would be a serious thing, I think. And, okay. At this point, I think we can skip this activity maybe, but just think about it. I mean, think about it. Just think about a conflict. And about this conflict, one of the first steps of dealing with a problem is to understand the problem at all. It's the same thing with the conflict as well. So we need to know where this conflict actually happened. Where? Is it important? The location? I mean, imagine that you're having a disagreement with a student in front of the class or privately. Would there be a difference? Of course, right? Or who? So an administrator and a student, a successful student and a teacher, a low achiever and a teacher. So who again is important? What? So what is the problem? Is it something which is within your control or beyond your control? And what happened? What did you say to each other? Did you fight? Did you hit each other? So that's another thing. And finally, how you felt. Your feeling is also important. How you felt at the end of this. Okay? So all of them are important when you are dealing with a conflict, indeed. So what are the most common conflicts you experience with your students? I'm just going to share you a huge list based on my study actually, but what kind of conflicts do we have? What do you think the most common conflict, the reason for conflict at this school for you actually is? Students. Lack of motivation. Lateness, okay. Yeah, talking in Turkish, yeah, the need for Turkish, L1. According to the list actually I gathered, based on more than 200 students actually responses, rules about attendance is #1 problem. Assignments, it's another thing. And self-expression. So students feel like they can't express themselves well. So this is the third most popular answer. Course content. I mean, you see there is also some academic, reference. Lack of interest, motivation, someone put it that way. Teacher's subject knowledge. And teacher's personal traits, exams, course program, and the rest of the list. So here we have a huge list of reasons actually for conflicts in the classroom. Okay, and so it's everywhere. I mean, it's literally everywhere. Conflict is really, everywhere. So that's why we have this, someone there actually put it that way. So conflict resolution is something we need to be well equipped with. It's not just us, it's also our students actually who should be trained on conflict resolution. Because conflict is something that can be resolved, that can be dealt with. If so, it can be a chance for opportunity, it can be a chance for improvement, otherwise just the opposite. So that's why conflict is important and conflict resolution is even more important. And okay, let's do a very simple task. Do you want to experience some conflicts with your partners? Someone said that you're very close, you're very close and you don't experience any conflicts, but let's do it. Okay, what we're going to do is this. So, rock, paper, scissors, right? Rock, paper, scissors. So this is nothing, something, anything. Okay, so I want you to face your partner right now. So let's just face our pairs and partners. That's a very simple activity. Find a partner, find a pair, and are you okay? Do you have partners? I can use an app for it. Okay, so just like rock, paper, scissors, you're going to say nothing, something, anything at the same time. And when you just say all these three words at the same time, at the end, you are just going to tell your partner an object. It could be an animal, it could be an object here, it could be an object in the classroom, it could be anything. Okay, just an object or an animal, a pet maybe. Is that clear? Okay, nothing, something, anything, and then the object. I don't want to say it because I know it manipulates sometimes. So just say whatever comes first into your mind. Okay, go ahead. And don't change the object. Okay, I guess everyone now has objects, right? Or animals maybe. Okay, you are not allowed to change it. What you're going to do is this. And sometimes we have such conflicts in life. Sometimes we don't know how that conflict actually, happens. So what you're going to do now, you are going to persuade your partner about how your object is going to beat your partner's object. Okay, whose object beats the other one? 1 minute. Honey, there was this, my dad is stronger than your dad kind of things. So try to persuade your partner. What are the objects? Huh? That beats, yeah. Okay, so you obliged actually to him, okay. And your object?
Table and board marker.
Table.
Table.
Table and board marker. Who won? Which one won? Okay, good. So you agreed then. Okay. And star.
Pencil.
Mine was car.
Car, okay.
And yours?
Pencil.
Pencil.
Okay. A car can easily break a pencil maybe, so it's not that strong.
What is the point?
Sometimes we do have conflicts because of these kind of silly things actually in life. We do. So that is the reason. That's a very simple thing to arise a conflict, to just lead into a conflict, but sometimes in life we do. Especially, considering students, especially at young learner level, you can't imagine what kind of conflicts they have.
Okay, what is the difference between a problem, a small problem in class, and a conflict? I mean,
Conflict is not a problem if you cannot deal with a conflict successfully. I mean, did you deal with your conflict? So what is the resolution? Which one won the game, for example? Car?
Car seemed obvious to the...
Okay, you agreed with her. So if there's an
thought I had
agreement,
to.
if there's an agreement, now you know your choices, and now you know how you can deal with the conflict, and it didn't become a problem for you. But if you couldn't agree on something, and then if you just, like present some silly reasons to just persuade the other person, then it becomes a problem. It's about the way you deal with a conflict resolution. Okay? Okay, so yes, we did this just to show you how some conflicts actually can arise because of some like silly situations. I mean, we do have some conflicts, not with just only our students, but sometimes with our partners, sometimes with our family members, sometimes the guy on the metro bus, right? So, okay, has everyone reached an agreement at the end of their conflicts? Have you decided who won the game? You did? Who reached an agreement at the end? Okay, not many people. I mean, less than 50%. So, what about the other people? How did you deal with this situation? So you avoided the problem, right? You avoided the problem. Yeah, that's what we do. I mean, we just avoid it. I mean, because we think that it's silly sometimes. It might not be silly at all. So we just avoid the problem. Or sometimes, even though the other person couldn't persuade us, we just agree, right? Because, again, you just avoid it and the other person is like, has a dominating personality. So this is what I'm saying, yeah. That, I mean, we'll talk about it, yeah, we'll talk about it. Okay, so I'm just going to give more information about conflict and resolution. So conflict is there, resolution is there, and there are some steps in between. If you don't have a successful resolution process, then you go even deeper and it becomes a problem that can appear sometime in the future. The fact that you avoid a conflict does not mean that you just dealt with it. I mean, so yeah. So what happens in between? So first, acknowledge the conflict, okay? And identify the real conflict. I mean, real conflict. So when you are trying to agree, when you are trying to persuade each other based on a very silly thing, so whose animal like beats the other one, you can also include some other, like cases that you experience with that person. You are such a person, you also did this, you also did that, kind of things. So that's why sometimes the conflict you're trying to resolve may not be the real conflict. Okay? Listen to all points of view. And together, look for ways to resolve the conflict and get agreement on a resolution. And finally, of course, there should be a follow-up process. Follow-up to review the resolution. This is one way. Okay, just a suggestion. I'm not saying that this is the best way. There's another one. It is shortened like Staben. Okay, S is source. So source of the conflict is important, as I said. And time and place. That is even more important. I mean, imagine that someone is late during the first hour of the day on a Monday, or someone is late during the third hour on a Wednesday, or the last hour on Friday. So the time and the place of the conflict is important. Amicable approach. You should have a kind of positive approach, of course, not at least, like inimical. And behavior, focus on behavior. I mean, in most conflicts, people focus on the the person. You are such a person. You are doing this. You do that. You always do this. We say such sentences, right? But what's important is the behavior, focusing on the behavior. So this behavior was not right. I can't agree on this behavior. It's better than saying you always do this. So don't focus on the person, focus on the behavior. If you focus on the person, it's never going to come to an end. And emotion, express your emotions. It's important. And finally, express very clearly what you want to do. Okay, what you really want. I mean, there are some people who are not expressing themselves very obviously, very clearly, and this also causes some, I think, conflicts or even problems. So, just one more quote. The harder the conflict, of course, if you can resolve this conflict, the greater the triumph, okay, depending on how you resolve a conflict. And at this point, I want to talk about, I'm just going to skip this part, conflict management styles. In total, we can talk about 5 different conflict management styles. And so, let me introduce them. Okay, let me make it bigger. So here we see 5 different conflict management styles. So which one is you, or which one was you when you were dealing with the conflict, the animal fight? So some people, I mean, how can we understand this continuum? By the way, this is everything that you can do about a conflict. So there is this degree of cooperativeness. So you can be highly cooperative, or you may not be very cooperative. Or assertiveness is also important. You can be like not very assertive or highly assertive. So if you are highly assertive and highly cooperative, that means you are trying to come up with a solution, a way to make everyone in the group, in the pair, win-win. Okay, so this is like a win-win situation for everyone. If you are very assertive but not cooperative, if you are very assertive but not cooperative, then we have a dominating personality. If you are neither cooperative nor assertive, then you just avoid the conflict, okay? And we have accommodation as well, so high cooperativeness, low assertiveness. Okay, you're right. Yeah, you're right. You're my administrator. You're my director. So you're right. So I agree there. This is not avoiding. You agree there indeed because you are not very assertive. And in the middle, we have compromise. Okay, so we have this compromise in the middle. So let me ask you a question. By the way, let me put it in another way. This is also very similar to the one I showed you. Compromising, collaborating, accommodating, avoiding, competing. We have different names for different styles, but the framework doesn't change. Assertiveness and cooperativeness. So one question, which one is the best one? Which one is the best one? I like this question. Yeah, which one is the best strategy? So can I have some answers? Louder if possible. Huh? Collaborating, okay. And collaborating, so does everyone agree that this is the best solution? Or this is the best, not solution style? What about avoiding? Indeed, I mean, yeah. So we need to be political actually in life most of the time. So this is the most political answer actually that you can give. But it is the right answer. It depends on the situation. So let's say you just started the class, a student came in and late. Okay, and you want to make everyone happy. But there are different personalities, different styles, etc. If you want to make everyone happy, is it the right time actually to do it? Because collaboration, yes, maybe it looks like the best solution, but it takes time actually to do it. Imagine that you try to agree on a win-win situation with the latecomer. Maybe it's going to take 10 or 15 minutes. Maybe you're going to go out and it's going to take more time. Do you think this is a good strategy at that point? No, because a lot of other students actually will be waiting for you actually in the class, and they'll have some ideas or they'll be confused about that. So that's why the situation is important. Okay, there is no best strategy indeed. So which one is the best strategy? Avoiding is the best strategy. Do you agree there? So there's, yeah, in Istanbul traffic, actually avoiding is the best strategy, otherwise you're going to be killed. Right? So, I mean, it is best when, because the situation is important, we said, it is best when you don't want to deal with conflicts, so you stall or ignore the issues. When one or more parties need time to calm down or consider a situation. So avoiding is the best strategy at that point then. If you just want to collaborate with the other person, maybe there's going to be a more serious disagreement. So at that point, you can avoid it, and after a few days, you can deal with that. So at this point, avoiding is the best strategy. Okay? Or accommodating is the best strategy when you are learning a new skill or when the issue is low importance. Okay, I mean, you have your manager and you, let's say, and there's a kind of situation which is not that important and you are not sure about the school, the environment yet. So you can simply agree with that person and that person can win at that point. So that's accommodation. Or compromising. You remember the one in the middle. Compromising is best when the decision is a temporary solution. The issue is of moderate importance. So if there is some sort of importance, then you need to find the middle ground. What is the middle ground? It's not a win-win situation. It is win and lose to some extent situation. You both win because it's in the middle. You both win and lose at the same time. So that's compromise. Competing. It is best when a quick decision is needed. So you just dominate the other person. I have the power, so you should do it this way. I mean, you can do it at that point. You can do it like that at that point. But after a few days, you can call that person and you can talk why you did that way. Okay? So you see, collaborating. Collaborating, we said it's the best one. Yes, it's the best one, but it takes time, indeed. It takes time. So if you have a long time, then you can go for collaborating. Okay, think about prep students. I did this study at top University of Economics and Technology. So what do you think their self-reported conflict management styles are? Which one is reported to be the most, preferred or most used, actually, strategy by EFL prep students? Avoiding. And so EFL learners self-reported conflict management styles. Integrating. So accommodating. I mean, it's like, it is the best one. You said, like, it's the best one, but it takes a long time. So they say they always use, or most of the time, they use integrating conflict management styles. The next one is compromising. So these are quite positive, but I don't think people use integrating and compromising that much. There is dominating, that comes after. Obliging, agreeing with the other person, although you lose, the conflict. And avoiding is the last one. Do you think there is a difference between, like, males and females in terms of their handling conflicts? In terms of only one of them, there is a significant difference. Which one is that? Yes, dominating. So males report that they try to dominate more than females. And we are talking about EFL learners, by the way. We are talking about your students. So as you can see, people have their own conflict management styles. And it's based on their language performance, language proficiency level. It depends on their gender, but gender seems to be a significant indicator at this point. Okay, are we clear about everything so far? Great. So if you are curious about your own conflict management style, you can just, let me share the link with you. So, I mean, you can take a picture of it. They're just very simple 5 questions. You can easily find these kind of tests on Google and see what kind of conflict management style you have after answering those 5 questions. So there is an example conflict management style test here for you. Okay, and as I said at the beginning of the presentation, I told you that most probably we won't have time for effective communication skills. So I'm just going to skip that part And I'm just going to show you some suggestions, or first, some skills needed to respond to conflicts. What kind of skills do you need to respond to conflicts? Well, let me share a list with you. The first thing, don't take it personally. Okay, if someone is experiencing a conflict with you, it's not because of your personality, maybe it's because of the time of the day, it's because of the place, it's because of the psychological mood of that person maybe, so don't take it personally. Choose when and where to deal with the situation. Okay, you don't have to deal with a conflict as it arises, just choose the place and the time yourself. Listen to the student, check your perception. I think we all know about our perceptions toward conflicts now. It's not a problem. Select and explain your position, okay, what you think, what you want, okay, what you believe. So express yourself in a very clear way, in a very obvious way. And discuss next steps and document your decision. If this is going to be a kind of serious case, you can even document your decision as well. Okay, and skills needed to respond to highly emotional students. What if our students are highly emotional? Sometimes, I mean, they could be. Schedule an appointment. Don't try to, again, deal with the conflict as it arises. Open your door, acknowledge behaviors and emotions, get assistance. You don't have to deal with the conflict by yourself all the time. You can also get assistance from a colleague, from a team member, if there is any team, or from an administrator, from someone. And keep others informed. In some cases, I think this could be really important. And finally, some ineffective ways to deal with conflicts. So what are those ineffective ways? I have 4 of them. Conquest, that's not very effective. Don't try to dominate the other person. It doesn't work. I mean, it might work at that point, but in the long run, it's not going to work. Bargaining, avoidance, and quick fix. In the long run, we should always focus on collaboration. Okay, we should always focus on collaboration. But in the short term, you can use some of these strategies, but in the long run, they are all ineffective indeed. Okay? So, that's all about conflict management. I was going to do a final check, but we can skip this part. I was going to do it with Plickers. Do you know Plickers? That's a very good app indeed. You don't need mobile phones actually to do Plickers. It's really fantastic. You just scan the codes and then you get responses. How many? Has anyone used that before? Okay, just Ezgi. So, I mean, more people. So, I'm not going to do it right now, but just search it on the internet. You will be amazed actually by the app. This is what I'm talking about. When we don't have good connection, when students don't have mobile phones or batteries, you can simply give these cards and you just simply scan the responses. It takes a second, by the way. It doesn't take minutes. I mean, you're not scanning each one by one. You just scan the whole thing. And then you can give just multiple choice questions through this activity and you can do an interactive one with Plickers. So I'm just going to skip this part. Thank you for your attention. I don't want to go over actually my time. So if you have any questions about like anything I have mentioned, plus what I do at Bahçeşehir University, you can always contact me. I'll be happy to respond to you back. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention. So my definition of learning is a change in your attitude, in your behavior, in your knowledge. So I hope, if not in your knowledge, if not in your behavior, at least I hope there has been a change in your attitude towards, conflicts in general. In that case, I can say that this session has been successful. So, do you have any questions? Okay then. So, thank you.
Time, 2 more minutes. I would like to give Mustafa Hoca a certificate, his certificate, and for his
Thank you.
Wonderful presentation. Thank you, hocam.
Thank you. Erim hocam. Wow. Thank you.
And a nice flower for you and Özge.
Thank you. A picture?